I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Feels like we were just here. So we have some additions to our agenda. Adding 2.03 Ocean Crest presentation, 5.17 Advanced Environmental Science Field Trip, and 5.18 Approved Golf Co-op with Coquille High School. That's exciting. Let's see. Can I have an approval of our agenda? Can I have a motion for that? Motion. Second, any discussion on our agenda? All those in favor? Perfect, thank you. Is there any public input for items that are on our agenda? Okay. Can I have an approval of our board minutes from February 10th?
I will second that.
Any discussion on that? All in favor? Right along. 2.02 approval of our superintendent evaluation. So the board of directors of the Bandon, Oregon School District number 54 has completed the annual evaluation of Superintendent Shauna Schmier for 2024-2025. The evaluation focused on 3 professional standards. Regarding the 3 professional standards, we determined that the superintendent, Ms. Schmier's performance was exemplary in the areas of visionary leadership and effective organizational management. In the area of communications and community relations, the board felt that her performance was strong. We will be working with the superintendent over the next several weeks to develop goals aligned with our district goals and look forward to working together to continue the success of the Bandon, Oregon School District number 54. And I'll need a motion to approve that.
I move that we approve those.
Second, any discussion on that? All in favor? Perfect, thank you. Move over into our information section, standard procedures, and oh yeah, sorry, before we get to there, thank you.
I already forgot.
Ocean Crest presentation, Juliana Boak and Amelia Robbins.
Okay, so I'd like to introduce these 2 ladies. I will say right now that I sent the presentation to Adam and didn't bring my laptop. Has figured out, but that is why there's a little bit of a delay. So come on over, ladies.
We will see if he's got it figured out.
We went looking for a cable and couldn't find it, so this is going to work out great. So this is Mrs. Boak. She's our behavior specialist, and this is Miss Robbins, and she's our student support specialist. So they have a presentation to share, and they'll be able to describe the differences in their roles and how we support kids in our school.
Cool, thanks, Courtney. So I think I know most of you, if not, like I grew up here, so I'm sure I could just name drop one person and probably find my way to you somehow. But it's nice to be here. So I am a new hire this school year, which I'm super thankful that you guys went with me because I'm loving my job this year. But we just kind of wanted to reintroduce the space to you. It was formerly known as the Reset Station. And there were a lot of different feelings regarding it being the reset station. And so Courtney graciously let me ask the students at Ocean Crest if they had any name suggestions, because I wanted to kind of give it a facelift and a new name. And you can kind of tell the students already had a different vibe based off of the name suggestions that I got, because some students were Mrs. Boak's Dungeon, or some suggestions were the recess room. So it was like a very mixed bag, but I do feel like that is kind of like what this space is. It's like such a variety of supports for these students. So I kind of wanted the name to reflect the reasons why students are sent into this space. So we came up with a support space. That was, I think, the most well-rounded name for this room and this space. And just for what it's been in the past, we were able to kind of like create a space that we felt like served all the students at our school. And I mean, that was really kind of my goal, is like I get to be kind of like the mediator between a bunch of different services at Ocean Crest. And this room is kind of like the in-between room that all students can access. So I kind of wanted the space to reflect that purpose. So we have some pictures to show you if you haven't been into Ocean Crest and seen the room, that we can kind of get a visual of like what the space is, or if you've been familiar with it in the past, you can see kind of the changes that we've made to the space. Oh, do I get to control it?
It's all you.
All right, so when you walk in, we kind of have, I wanted to have like an open theme just because I love open theme concepts to room. But we kind of have like a designated like space where students can come in, and if they are dealing with like a big feeling issue, like Amelia or myself can find a book kind of like related to it and find a social story and just kind of like talk the kids through it. There's probably more seating options than we should have in there, but a lot of comfy seating choices for the students, because really some kids just, they find their spot, and sometimes when they walk in the room, just knowing that that's a space that they are used to seeing and it's a comfortable space that already regulates them when they come in. And then we kind of have like our workspaces, so students will come in for like work completion. We have like think sheets, so if they need time to like reflect about an incident. We have students who come in and eat lunch. We have students who haven't had breakfast, so we kind of have our table set up in the middle for the students to access those as needed. And then this is kind of like the back of the room view from my desk, just to kind of see like the layout of the back. We do have a crash pad, which I'll show more. But when students come into the space, we'll usually have them come in with like a slip, and that will kind of tell me like, or Miss Robbins, why they're there, if the behavior has been chronic, if they're just working on a test. And students, like, they're pretty trained. Like, I feel like in the years past, they kind of know the routines when they come in. They can kind of go to their space and do whatever they need to do, or we have like restorative conferences and talk to students about situations that have come into our room. And then we try to communicate with teachers the best we can when we send them back to class, because I was a classroom teacher and my kids would just get fired back in my classroom all hot and ready to go. And I'm like, what happened? And so this slip is really helpful for teachers, just to keep that communication for them as far as like what we do and like the interventions that we provide like in our room. And then we send them back to class and we kind of give a little snapshot of like what we discussed, and or if they need to come back and talk to us later, just so the teachers kind of know what's coming into their room. And then we also use that space for like behavior intervention. So we have students on like check-in, check-out plans, where we talk to them in the morning and they check in with us, and we kind of establish that positive relationship with them. And then throughout the day, it's a small school, so we'll see them off and on throughout the day and just continue to have that consistent support for them. And then they check out in our room at the end of the day, and we kind of just go over their goals, if they met them, and what they can do to improve them. But it's been, as far as I've been there, a pretty successful program to have in place. So one of like the best parts I think of this position is getting to have like the restorative conferences. Like, I love that students get to come in, and like most of the time, because it's such a far walk from recess to our room, they're already kind of regulated, and we're like, why are you in here? And so we get to have those conversations and have like give kids the opportunities to kind of like reflect and like work through whatever issues were happening most of the time at recess, or if they're just having a conflict with a friend, like they know that this space, again, it's not just for like students who are in trouble or students who are big behavioral challenges. Like, we have like very small problems coming in, but we always like treat it as just like a chance to have a restorative conversation, just so they're kind of used to that process. And I love that about our school district. And then we have our mood meter, which a lot of the kids love to mess with my magnets. But in an ideal situation, some kids will come in and just kind of like subtly move it. Like, if they're kind of dysregulated before they go back to class, a lot of the kids will kind of just like walk by the board and just like move a magnet. And so it's kind of nice to kind of watch like their progression. Like, some kids will come in really angry and you can tell they're angry, but by the time they leave, like, they'll just move their magnet on joy, or they'll make like a silly face with it. But it's just been kind of like a fun, informal way to assess how students are feeling when they come into the room. And then we have different like activities in our cubbies for students. The really popular one has been the putty. I don't think it's Amelia's favorite one, because it's ended up like wedged onto clothes and like onto our fidgets, and I got my hand stuck in it once, and It's my favorite though, because it just has such different textures and you can see just students who are doing something with their hands are like so much more open to talking with me about situations that are going on just because their hands are busy. And like every single student has requested putty now for their classroom, which I've had to like, I tried it one time in the classroom and I was like, no, thank you. So that stays in my room. But we have sand, we have building blocks, we have tiles, we have sensory bins, fidgets, we have the brain flakes. Really, there's a bunch of different activities that they can do on their own, or they can invite other people to do that with them. It's just a really good space and it's like consistent, so they know what's in there and they know when they walk into that space, like what their options are. And then Courtney let me purchase a walking pad for my room. We strictly have to make sure that it is a walking pad because we have little people that I was like, if you're running, you are not walking. We've only had 2 injuries so far, so I'm hoping that I get to keep it. But this is like great for the little ones because they just have got to get their wiggles out. And we used to have a bike, but it didn't fit all the people in the building, and so I decided a walking pad would be a good addition. And the students have really loved it and enjoyed it. And even students who are not typically that active will pop on it for a couple of minutes and just walk. And it's just a really good stationary movement break for them. And then this is our crash pad. So this is if students haven't slept well or just need a break or are just tired. For this specific student, it's like a sensory break where she comes in and sits with the weighted blanket on the crash pad and we'll look at books, and it's really transformed the second part of her day. So it's just that little simple noticing that what she needs and being able to accommodate in that space. Again, it's for so many different reasons, but I just love that it's so flexible for that. So Amelia is the student support specialist, which primarily ran the room before I got there. And so some of her job duties that she is now is she's really good at restorative conferencing. She supports students in returning to class successfully after behavior incidents. She inputs all of the student data, all of it. And then she is very helpful in supporting students in managing their behaviors and kind of guiding them to more helpful choices when they come into their room. So it's been really awesome to have her there because she is there, I get to do my job, which I love because I really love being like in the classroom. Because as a classroom teacher, I was like, I would just love another adult to be in here, or like I'd love somebody just to take this kid out of my room. So that's what I get to do. So I get to go into classrooms and observe students. I get to offer behavior supports, and teachers have been really accommodating to let me come in and try different ideas with their students, and just to know we have like that unspoken communication where I can just take a student and work with them and then bring them back to class. I get to do community circles. So I get to bring in if there's like a friendship conflict or an issue that includes more than like 3 kids. I call them community circles. And we bring them in and everybody gets to have like a talking piece. And it's a really, really effective way to conference with students and make sure everybody's voice is heard in a respectful manner. And then I get to help run behavior SSTs. And one thing I love being able to be out at recess, because that's where we see the most behaviors come in, is during the unstructured chaos times, which I'm sure is not surprising. But I get to be out at recess with certain students, like supporting them if they've had like hands-on or behavior issues. I get to go out there and observe them and just kind of be a voice in their head when I notice them making unsafe choices. And I get to hang out with the kids and play tetherball. And so that's been really good this year. And then I get to do character strong groups, which I'll talk about next. And also data collection, because this data is just never ending in that position. And then I'm also the 504 case manager for the Ocean Crest. So this year I get to do character strong groups. So I had the teachers kind of fill out a screener for any students that might be flagged for needing more tier 2 support at like an emotional level. So I have students with like internalizing emotions and students with externalizing emotions. So right now I have like a kindergarten group, which we all know kindergartners need all the help because they're so cute, but so wild. And so that's one of my favorite groups I get to run, just teaching them how to be calm and how to be responsible and how to listen and follow directions. And so that's been one of my favorite groups so far. then I also get to work with the fourth graders just because the move to Harbor Lights can be very scary and different. And I just want to help them give that support as far as transitioning from fourth to fifth grade. And so I get to work a lot on those like social skills and like how to regulate and how to manage your emotions and how to be resilient. And so I've really loved getting to do those groups. And I think that's it. So thank you. Any
Where
questions?
is the support station?
It's like diagonal across from this resource room. So yeah,
Okay.
Come see it.
I will-
hey, you're more than welcome to come play with Tiny. Like,
Just be careful with your clothes.
yeah, just don't let it touch anything else.
I'm curious to know how this evolved, because my grade school experience 65 years ago, nothing like this at all. It was just survival of the fittest, you know? And my mind is spinning trying to imagine how my experience would have been different if there would have been something like this. You know, there was nothing. And we had some great teachers. That was it. It was either, you just go sit in the hard chair in the principal's office. That was the closest thing there was to restorative therapy. When did this happen? I mean, obviously it's been 65 years. Is this new, or has this been around for decades?
Well, I went to a training like 3 years ago. It was like a sources of strength, like SEL curriculum and over in Medford. And I was like a third grade teacher, and I had walked into a room full of behavior specialists. And I was like, what is that position? Like I had never heard of it before. I just thought I got roped into this training. And a lot of school districts, at least like I think it's a pretty recent development, have adopted behavior specialists. And because it is like almost an essential position, I feel like at a school, and I just know working in my last district, it's like it is survival of the fittest, but it's also you're losing so many teachers. So
Stan, this is the 8th year that we've had this space
Okay.
at Ocean Crest. This is the first year that it's been ran by a certified teacher. So it's been ran by classified staff. That's our support staff up until this year. When the superintendent saw the need for us to be able to have somebody that was, so like before Julie, like I was managing all these behaviors as the principal, because our classified staff, they don't have like phone conversations with families. They are not paid enough to do that.
Right.
And so having a certified person in this position has really taken that load off of me, and I'm still involved. I still get all the emails. I still know what's happening, but she's able to communicate with parents in place of myself for the teachers.
This is really nice.
Yes.
When I was a kid, I was like, I didn't know this until recently. I was fully symptomatic for every known form of ADD, ADHD. And they didn't use ropes on me, but it was close.
So we don't have any ropes, but I did come from a district, the last district I taught at in the Valley, we had a space like this for, I'm gonna say probably 6, 7 years. We had a space like this prior to me coming to Bandon.
This would have been very nice.
So it
65
has
years.
existed for a while. You said, you know, the answer?
Many years ago, as a behavior specialist, I told Courtney, I know the answer to this one. In the 90s, Oregon State piloted a study for the positive behavior intervention
Yeah.
supports.
Okay.
And so during the 90s, while they were collecting that PGIS data, schools said, hey, we can do something with this. And it took many forms over the last 25,
Sure,
30 years. But that seed started right here in Oregon. I was a behavior specialist in Texas, but the data is far reaching. And I think it was because of those experiences from your generation and our generation. They would just sit us in the principal's office. There was no connecting us back to the classroom like they do. That restorative conference, that conversation to reintegrate us back into the learning environment and teaching the behavior that maybe the kid doesn't realize what they did is unacceptable. We have to have that conversation. Some behaviors have to stop, all behaviors have to stop.
Well, we knew we were being bad.
Yeah, the support
that has
space,
not
the,
changed.
the support space that I went to had a paddle still.
Yeah,
I remember getting paddles.
The Board of Education.
Right. Well, I think at Ocean Crest, I can tell you
Right.
that vision came from special education
Oh, yeah.
teacher. And she was doing a lot with behavior that we saw could be kind of put out there for every student, not just for a student identified for IEP services. And so it grew out of that.
I remember I had friends who I watched get lost. And a few of them I interacted with later as adults. And they just lamented, they said, what happened? And it was just, there was no safety net. You survive or you die socially and behaviorally.
I don't imagine the need for something like this ends at grade school. So is there an equivalent in middle school and high school?
Just looks different. but-
Yep.
Age appropriate.
I got a tour of high schools, recently.
We have
Yeah,
the data to support the positions. That's part of our, EFP that we're doing. Student improvement plan. So we've been, a lot of data coming in and Julia, because I can't, it's hard to call you your full name.
It's okay, only my kindergarten.
Just
Julie.
Position in the middle school we have so much data to support those positions. Just because of the need of the changing behaviors of kids, environmentally, social emotional pieces, just that step that we were always missing where the teacher would send them out. So you have explosive behaviors both with the teacher and the student, and then all of a sudden they go to the principal's office and then they're turning right back around to go to the teacher. Well, the teacher hasn't calmed down yet, maybe some of the situations. So these rooms really allow that pressure to come down for both students and teachers. And so I think every year our system gets a little bit better. So adding, an
Yeah.
actual certified person in there that has the specialty background has really improved. And we had some major behaviors this year in the elementary, so she stepped in at a great time.
Yeah.
And I love that it's 2 people and not 1, because it does allow you to go into those classrooms where we might have a kid that's falling out of the classroom, and that allows the teacher to take their kids out, that allows her to go in there to talk to the kid that may be being explosive. And then we still have the room set up to where if any other kids are having troubles, they're able to go there. So it's a very effective system. I'm very proud of it.
And we didn't start that way, we're halfway through the school year. We started the year with just Miss Bo.
Mhm.
Um,
And I was like,
And-
no, thank you.
yes, and she did, she accepted the job and gladly came, but as the school year went on, in the first month, we realized it didn't make sense to only have her. We needed somebody that would be in the space at all times, and then we needed, for it to truly benefit our students and our staff, we needed there to be two adults. So we did some shifting around in our staffing, thanks to the superintendent's approval, and, which has allowed us to establish this program that we have. So, thank you, ladies, so much for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Good job. Yeah. Moving through our information section over to our reports.
We're still staying steady with enrollment, so that's a happy place to be, especially this time of year. We make any adjustments that we need to make, so we don't have a big May payment that comes out of our state payment. So Amanda's very good about watching that and making sure. If you read through the district at a glance, there's quite a few things that are starting to come up. Spring becomes our really fast-paced time, so everything starts to happen in the spring, it feels like. So make sure that you're really paying attention to those dates and getting them on your calendar. For me, I went to the National Educators Conference, and it's one of the ones that I have in my contract to go to, because it's probably the best professional development any administrator could go to, not just because of essential pieces of it, because that's really great to be able to network, but the offerings of the professional development coming from all the different states and all the different ideas, and it gives you table talks to where I get to talk about Bandon and the great things we're doing, and listen to other school districts of, class size loads or different things like that. We're lucky. I mean, we don't have 35 to 40 kids in every classroom, which a lot of schools do. And so some of the things that I would talk about, I learned real quick that I needed to be quiet, because that isn't what's happening in every district. But it's great to be able to hear and advocate for our students and staff there. And poor Adam gets inundated because they're talking, I'm fascinated with AI, but they're talking about all these different tools that will help with different things that we do, and from business manager to HR stuff to all the way down to the classroom and the students. But it was just mind blowing of all the things and how rapidly it's changing, and we need to get on board, and Oregon's kind of really slow to get on board.
So I think that that's something that our district needs to be in the forefront of, is really get some AI, not to be preventative to teach teachers how to catch kids cheating, but it's actually more than that. It's how you can do greater, more. The lesson plans that some of the teachers showed were like amazing, how they integrated their own curriculum that they have and the supplement. So the things that we used to dig for 10 years ago as a teacher, all is coming to you. So those types of things, administrative. I want to get this little tool that like you have a meeting and it interprets the whole meeting for you and brings it up right there after the meeting. It's all written out for you. And I'm like, that would really, really great for our HR meetings. Great for like the school board where it'd already be there. And then Connie could always go back and check to make sure she didn't miss anything. So there's just a lot of wild and crazy tools that are out there. And I think that to educate ourselves on it, that would be best for staff and students. So I'll be looking in that direction of us taking the forefront of that, at least for the coast, because I don't want to wait till the state decides to do AI, because I think that we might be really left behind with that piece of it. It was just, I just love that conference. It's just so, it fills my brain so full every time. All the different professional development choices you have. And I like went to half of the session in one time and then snuck out so I could go to the other one because they were at the same time. And, you know, they have over, I think it's 400 different sessions you can go to. It's like amazing. It's just like mind blowing, the things that you can look at and research and know about, or topics, or, and then they have roundtable sessions where you sit at different tables and there's different topics of all these things that are going on. And it's just, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing to be at. Yeah. I always come back really excited and wanting to order things that we don't have.
Well, it sounds like a wise investment.
I think it's the direction that we need to go.
As I was reading through the district report, I had two questions. Courtney, could you talk about the $50,000 grant for early literacy?
Yes, I started with our ESD, so science of reading. The governor was pushing science of reading for the K-3 early literacy initiative. And that was last year, and we received grant funding, and that was part of that funding is where we took our teachers to Florida, you know, over the summer. And so I connected with somebody from the ESD who I coordinate like the district SIOP training. So some district trainings, I connected with her and I said, I'm really looking for science of reading training for my staff because I need the expert to come to us. And she said, oh, she said, you're the first teacher, the first elementary teacher in our area that has asked for this. And I was like, am I doing something wrong that I'm the only one asking? And anyway, so she connected me with ODE, and they have this educational innovative and improvement initiative. And so I met with ODE's rep for this, her name's Shauna, and we put together a plan of what I wanted for my staff. And from there, then they put it out, and this was back in November. Like I've been working on this for a long time. So this was back October, November. And then they put it out to their educational companies, and then those companies bid on the job. So that's how this works. So I only found out a week and a half ago that I have the bids. I presented it to my teachers and said, this is what we have the ability to do. It's a year-long partnership. So like, let's say we start next month in April, it's going to go through next April. Okay. So it's not just going to be, we get it for like 2 months and then it's rolled over. It's a year-long commitment, and it can be whatever we need. And it's tailored to our current reading curriculum. So they're not coming in and trying to teach my teachers some new curriculum while we're in the middle of our adoption. They bring their experts who are experts in our curriculum and how to then teach that with the science of reading explicit instruction with what we already have. So they'll come in and do coaching. And what they will do for sure is like professional developments. So as we plan our PD calendars for next year, I will plan some of those also. So they'll do professional development with my teachers and my support staff because they work with the curriculum in small groups. So that only makes sense. And then I can also pull them for coaching. So this can be for one of my newer teachers, which I have a handful of, or this can be with one of my
more veteran teachers that just want more practice, they'll come into the classroom and model lessons and do that coaching. So we've committed to this group, the core learning, who's already worked with small rural districts in Oregon already. And their impact and their reading state test scores that they reach. So I'm in that process. The next would be then to have a Zoom to really like tailor out the support we want from them. Yeah,
Thanks for all your hard work on that.
sure.
The other one was, sounds like we have a problem with the grounds over at for the bus barn, trying to lay out foundation. Is
Yeah,
it-
a little bit.
It's not compact enough or something?
Yeah, so that was all back in the fifties. From what the information I gathered, it was all filled when they put the road across. And so we did potholing in that area. And just to see how far it went, because really on a building that size and for parking buses on it. And the way you almost have to, well, you do have to dig down and then either to virgin soil and then build back up. We dug down at least 15 feet and we didn't hit virgin soil yet.
Oh, man.
So the pilings and the amount of concrete and rebar and all the things that would have to be to make it substantial enough for buses to park on is not viable. So we're working on plans. We've kind of drawn up with our engineering team to move the building back into the parking lot. About 60 feet-ish. So it'll be up on that higher level, and then the doors will be facing north, so that direction. So it'll be spun and pulled back. Just the way that the fill went, it went from about half of where that building was, the old bus barn, half of that. It goes almost at a direct diagonal all the way to the south, to the top corner. So there's a big portion of it that we just can't use. We can't over excavate and rebuild.
Okay.
It won't support the structure. So at this point, we brought in all the subs back in and to kind of evaluate and if we move it back, what's it going to cost? And so we did that last week. And so we're going through that process. They're getting all the bids together. I've seen one or two, and it's saving us money in a lot of different directions because it's closer to like our utilities. One of the big things that we're thinking, because it's up on a higher grade and not in the hole, we were having to put in a lift station for the sewer to go uphill. Now that it's up on a higher grade, we gravity feed it. So that's about a $15,000 savings, which will hopefully incorporate all the like 3 or 6 feet of deep of fill, basically, in front of the building where it's low.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, so we're getting all the numbers together, see what that looks like, and then we'll go forward.
And this was a miss by ZCS.
Yeah, that was the other thing.
Yeah.
Our engineering company, they just as a quick, I won't take much time, but just as a quick, in every project, you're supposed to do a geotech report, which means you look at the ground, see if it's viable to build on. So they did one, but in order to save money, which is this report's about $5,000 for a very full report. We had a geoengineer report done on this building when we did the seismic rehabilitation a few years ago, 2016. They took that one and used that for over there.
Which hadn't been surveyed. Or
Nothing had been done.
None of the.
So that's it. I have lots of thoughts about that, but anyway, we have to fix it for where we're at. So they didn't do what they were supposed to do. So there's obviously a bit of re-engineering to do. I am in talks with them right now that they're going to pay for it all because it wasn't my mistake. It was their mistake, and yeah, we had
Yeah.
working through that.
Good luck with those conversations. I mean, that's a tough
It
one.
is a tough one, but anyway, we're gonna get something out of it, I promise you that.
Yeah.
Okay, we've been through this in other things, so yeah, we'll make it work. Anyway, so there's just I mean, it's just kind of how it works.
Such a long drawn out process to go through all of this stuff and then to have a hiccup like this to set you back to re-engineer and. shift
Yeah.
things around.
But we think that we're not gonna have to extend any time. So our time frame is built in already for the end of July, so we're hoping if we can get started by the next couple of weeks, back up, we'll still be on track. Okay. Great. So.
Did anybody else have any questions on the report we received?
I have two small ones. Dr. You mentioned the National Honor Society recognition of students there. How does NHS membership work? Because like apply to get in, is it?
They're nominated by the teachers,
Okay.
primarily on grades, but they also have a lot of extracurricular activities that qualify. Very prestigious.
Do we typically have about students a year? Like what's kind of normal?
I've only been here for 2 years, but usually it just, yeah, that's probably about what we have. It just kind of depends on the year. Last year, I want to say we had a couple bit more. But like I said, it just fluctuates with the class. Class size obviously makes a big difference in that too. So, yeah, it just kind of varies on that kind of stuff, so.
And we appreciated that Mr. Taylor, before school's week, had a parents witness a ceremony. It was very scripted and, respectful and very, I don't know. It was neat to see candle lighting and, pledges they make to each other and, all the other existing, NHS members were sitting around this way to support them while they were up there.
Right on.
And Ms. Weiner on it's something with like an AHA fundraiser, there's like money going towards the American Heart Association.
Yeah, the American Heart Association.
Yeah, so are we raising money for the American Heart
Yeah.
Association? Okay.
Yeah, so if we call it the Kids Heart Challenge, and so we've done this. I know I took it over when I was a teacher.
Yeah,
Ms. A was still there.
back in the day, it used to be called Jump Rope for Heart. It's now been through a couple iterations.
Yeah. So it is a fundraiser and all of that money does go to supporting the Kids Heart, the American Heart Association. Yes. And then our PE teacher, 4 weeks that we're raising the money, she has an activity that comes from the program that she does with the kids every day.
I remember that.
Mhm. Yes.
Well, and it's been around for years and years. Shelby was doing it when she was in first grade. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I still do look for mine.
That's right.
Anybody else? Okay, over to Rowdy.
Some really cool things have been happening in the clubs recently. We've gotten like 4 in 1 year, which is crazy, and 2 this last one. There's a new Encompass Club, which from what I understand, I actually didn't ask the advisor about it. But from what I understand, it's just like a nice place for everyone to be supportive around each other. And then we've also got a different club that is in the works of being formed. It's not technically a club yet. But the theater club, which it's theater. And then the SATs are gonna happen the 12th, which is this Wednesday, and that's a thing that's happening for students. As far as field trips go, there's been the Redwoods that happened, not sure of the date, but it happened, I believe, last week, for 3 days. And it's hiking, a bunch of students go out. Then prom planning is going well. It'll be hosted in the Ocean Crest gym at April 19th. The seniors are doing a fundraiser for Krispy Kreme donuts that is actively going on. Besides that, I think that's it.
Awesome. All right. Any other questions from the board? All right, this is the point of the meeting where I will dismiss anyone that doesn't need to be here for the rest of the meeting. Thank you very much. Okay. Paying some bills, 5.01.
I believe, $146,946.
Second.
Any discussion on the bills? All those in favor? Right. 5.02 to 5.08. Second reading of the revised policies that we've received. Have a motion for that.
I move.
Any discussion on those? All in favor? All right. 5.09 and 10, deleting two old policies. Motion.
Second that.
And any discussion on those?
I just had one quick question. The one on like fingerprinting, so does that just apply to the different policies for how we fingerprint teachers, but like if you're a volunteer, you still get fingerprint?
Everybody has to be fingerprinted anymore that has anything kids.
Okay.
There's just a difference, I guess, depth of fingerprinting, like the background check for a teacher or someone who's gonna go on a overnight field trip or something is way in depth. Where if you're just coming in to read in the classroom, we just make sure that we do one of the simpler ones, and that's to prevent just the unknown, everybody that wants to come do something or present.
I did note one thing on the last page. This is in the section, instructional materials. That, just FYI, I just stumbled upon this. But it says, the board retains the authority to approve core instructional materials used in district schools and authorized the superintendent, et cetera. Has to do with, all the materials that come in, including books in the library. And down here it says, all school library materials will be selected by a librarian using established selection criteria. So anyway, there is currently being rushed through the Oregon legislature by the supermajority a new law that very specifically forbids the school staff and school boards to have any control over what books are in the library. And I don't know who that makes sense to, but I'm just saying that's exactly what the law says. I have no idea why they're doing that, why they're pushing that through, or what their goals are, but I'm just saying that's being pushed through the legislature right now, which would dramatically affect our control over what kids are reading and exposed to.
Yeah, hopefully that doesn't make it through.
Well, we do what we can.
And Sean, I have a question too, on that, the vets in the classroom, what's happening, then are they doing this? Do they do any other, like we watch the, of the safety videos? Do they have to do any of those?
Usually our volunteers that come in don't do the safe schools, they do the background check.
And insurance for volunteers?
Yeah. Cause they're not.
They're still being
they're not
supervised by the.
Right, they're not alone with kids. And they're, the other part is that like coaches are different than that, right? Cause they're with kids every day. They're alone with kids. They might be in an isolated area. That isn't it. It's just like we have another corporation that comes in with the dog and reads books to the kids. Their background checked. Yeah. So, but they don't have to take all of our safe schools that our employees take, right?
Did we vote on the
No,
09 and 10? We had a motion and a second.
I had comments, so now I think we can vote.
All in favor? Perfect. Thank you, John. 5.11 to 5.15, first reading for the adjusted policies. Motion and a second.
Second.
Any discussion on those? All in favor? Okay. 5.16, health curriculum request for postponement.
So, this is the year we're supposed to be adopting the health curriculum. But after we're talking about it, just with money constraints and with like new administration coming in, We don't know if the same like rules will, the standards for the health curriculum will be the same. So we thought it would be best not to buy something right now and then have it change and have to buy something different. So we are allowed to postpone it through a waiver if the board approves it. And so that's what we would like to do, is kind of financially not do it for financial reasons, and the other just to see how everything shakes out with new administration.
Is that a six-figure deal? What's the total cost normally of that curriculum?
Well, health isn't as expensive.
Okay.
Like language, like for us, the ELA was just for the elementary school was about $90,000. This won't be as much, just because we'd only need like one set of books, or I think the elementary was more of an online like curriculum. So they liked the curriculum. I mean, the teachers loved the curriculum that we picked. I'm just worried that if we buy something and then it changes, then we have to buy something else, and we just can't put ourselves in the.
How long are the material costs? Oh, sorry.
They're supposed to be for 7 years. So every 7 years, you're supposed to adopt the new curriculum for that state amended curriculum.
But how long is the postponement?
It's just like a 2-year process. So we'll start it again. So like we did that with science already. And so science will now come back on board, and we'll look at new curriculum and we'll adopt it and then start it in 2 years. So next year we'll do the same thing, go through the cart, see what we want, see what we don't want, get the cost, put it into our budget and have it for the next year.
And that's all done by committee, right?
And it's offered for the community to come in and see whatever we come down to, the 2 choices that we come down to, then it's open for the community to see the online portion. And we've had a lot of it already kind of ready to go. I was just worried that things could change and we don't have money to buy a curriculum twice less than 7 years. So I'd rather wave it off, come back to it and know where we stand, and then go from there.
This is the first one.
For health. For health, science, we used to not be on the state recommended curriculum. Doug started to get us there, but we used to not be on it. So we were really out of date in a lot of our curriculum. So we're
getting
better.
there.
We're better.
It's just for my own knowledge, like, if like the flip side applies when like somebody's like just bought curriculum. Changes are made to that curriculum, can you not also apply for waiver to say we don't want to buy new books, to just bought them?
Well, so you can waive to say that you financially can't do it, but you still have to look at it within the 2 years, and you have to take your curriculum and say, this is how it meets all the new standards, and vet it to show, and then ODE can approve it or not.
Okay, so it's not like you'd say, hey, we bought this new curriculum for
Right.
7 years.
Right.
Awesome. Anyone like to make a motion on that?
Make a motion to postpone.
I second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Advanced environmental science field trip.
Yes.
Request. Would somebody kindly read this?
I'll take
Thank
it. Dear Principal Dockery, Superintendent Schmerer, and School Board members, the Advanced Environmental Science, the DHS, would like to request your support for an overnight field trip to Southern Oregon in May of 2025. We would like to take a float trip down the newly restored canyons of the Klamath River and visit Crater Lake National Park. We've been studying habitat management, restoration. We believe this is an amazing opportunity to see a very exciting new project at its beginning. The primary cost of the float trip, we are looking for reasonable accommodation in the area. We'll cook for ourselves as much as possible and make every attempt to keep costs down, but would request that the district cover transportation and substitute costs. All other costs, including food, lodging, float trip, and admissions, will be covered by grant funds and student fundraising. Still working on the final itinerary, but are presently looking into visits to Redwood State Park, Klamath River, Ashland, and Crater Lake National Park. I've attached a letter outlining trip specifics as requested in previous years. The students and I are very excited about this excellent learning opportunity. Thank you for your consideration, Trent Hatfield, American Science teacher. I read this letter as well.
No, that's okay. I always ask the same question, can we afford to do this?
It's only, the thing is that is what's nice about the transportation of something like this is because it's curriculum based related. You're reimbursed 70% of the transportation cost, so really we're picking up the 30%. And subs for those days is
So
minimal.
30% of 1,500 is our only hard cost then. So that's pretty awesome.
Such a deal.
For that one.
Second,
I second that.
any further discussion on that?
Well, I'm wondering why they need snowshoes in May. Do they really need snowshoes in May? My.
Well, it was crampons, just in case.
Okay.
All in favor? Okay. That passes as well. 5.18, approve golf co-op with Coquille High School.
Can you explain that thing?
Okay, so Coquille has one boy golfer and one girl golfer. They don't have enough for a team, so
We're letting them come.
we're letting them come and play with us. They didn't want to do it last year, but they're doing it this year because they only have a
And
couple.
because they know we're really good at golf.
But that doesn't like affect our numbers.
No,
I know like how we can't do it
right,
sometimes.
because Coquille's not in ours. They're above,
Yeah.
so it's, they don't count.
They just cooperate. Essentially.
Right.
So our coaches take them on.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and I believe like, anyway, yes.
And we're not over.
We can't find out what their handicap is
We're
before
not.
we approve or deny.
Just one now, my player, details.
One will be a nurse. One will be, start now. So we'll take them on and Jim will work with the AD down there to make sure that they're registered and ready for the matches that they have and things like
So
that.
where are they from?
Okay.
Oh, my
Yeah.
goodness. What's not to like?
So and if there's JV matches, like maybe the parents would then be the providers of the transportation for the Coquille kids or things like that. But they come here for practice and we don't send any transportation down for them. They would come up there. Coquille
They
can-
have- Just that matches, or all our matches at the same place, so they're all.
Yeah, usually, and if not, if like we don't have enough for a JV, but maybe they want to do a JV tournament, then that will be the option of their AD down there to do that with that student.
Yeah, I would hope another school would do that for us if we had to come
We do,
together.
we have to.
They did that for wrestling for us.
Yeah.
What did he co-op?
Yeah, with Civic.
Yeah, soccer.
Yes, yeah.
Coquille is not a golf even.
Definitely reciprocal at this point.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a
Smart,
good
it's
thing
smart
to
to
do. All right, can I have a motion for that?
I move that we approve that.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Just a unanimous bunch today.
We are.
Okay, there's no 5.19. All right, so do we have any public input for items that were not on our agenda? None of y'all want to speak? Right. I move to adjourn. Have a second.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?